Elizabeth Smith Friedman educated and supervised a team at the U.S. Coast Guard that gained global recognition for decoding radio and telegraph signals to monitor criminal enterprises. Her team worked tirelessly against espionage, shielded ships transporting troops and finally cracked the baffling codes of the Nazis' Enigma machines.
The Woman Who Smashed Codes, a true story of love, spies, and the unlikely heroine who outwitted America's enemies, by Jason Fagoni. Day Street Books. 444 pages. $27.99.
Nearly half a century ago, social studies teachers told me they would gladly teach women's history, but women had not done much. Family responsibilities, social prejudice, discriminatory laws and sexual harassment explained some of this supposed underachievement.
Jason Fagoni's extensive research and superb storytelling reveal another fact: sometimes men took credit for women's accomplishments. In 1931, Elizabeth Smith Friedman trained and supervised a team at the U.S. Coast Guard that gained international recognition for decoding radio and telegraph signals to track criminal enterprises. Her team worked tirelessly against espionage, protected ships transporting troops and eventually cracked the baffling codes of the Nazis' Enigma machines.
Friedman never spoke of her World War II work, for she was sworn to secrecy. Those documents remained classified for 2 decades after she died in 1980. When finally released in 2000, her papers gave details that helped Fagoni file additional Freedom of Information requests.
He has written a thoroughly satisfying history of Elizabeth, who met and married William Friedman when both were young scholars employed by the Chicago tycoon George Fabian, who sought to convince academics that Sir Francis Bacon wrote many of the works attributed to Shakespeare. Fabian hired Elizabeth to decipher Bacon's purportedly secret messages. She came to doubt this theory, but gained valuable skills as a cryptologist.
In 1917, when coded telegrams drew the United States into war with Germany, Fabian persuaded the government to send intercepted messages for Elizabeth and William to decode, a skill they perfected together. They later moved to Washington, where Elizabeth set up her unit with the Coast Guard.
The Friedmans enjoyed playing at ciphers with their children and friends. Fagoni explains various types of ciphers they solved.
When the Army assigned William to work on the Japanese version of Enigma, the couple could no longer discuss the work they loved doing together. He suffered a breakdown. She devoted herself to preserving his record of accomplishments.
Meanwhile, J. Edgar Hoover claimed credit for Elizabeth's code cracking used to prosecute criminals and spies. A bully and notorious misogynist, Hoover dismissed 3 female agents when he took over the FBI in 1922. For 50 years, until he died in 1972, he allowed no women to become agents. He held self-congratulatory press conferences and starred in magazine spreads and news films that made him an icon in the public imagination.
The Friedmans built a cryptographic library, insisting it belonged to the American people. To their dismay, the National Security Agency sent a panel truck to their home in 1958 to remove much of their collection.